Hi, this is Yappy Hour. I'm Judy.
And I'm Helena.
Just two girls who can't stop yapping.
We're here just to chat about our lives as two girls in our 20s trying to survive in SF. So grab your favorite drink, can be non-alcoholic, get cozy, and let's get started.
Great.
Judy, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking cactus water. I'm contrary to the title, I actually think I'm allergic to alcohol, so I'm trying to limit my alcohol intake.
But also it's 2:20 on a Sunday afternoon, so we should not be drinking anyway.
Hey, day drinking is allowed. Yeah, I mean, you're giving the vibe with the sunglasses.
That's true. But we are also indoors. I'm drinking some lychee sparkling water that I took from a friend's office.
Yeah, these are all from tech offices. We didn't actually buy these.
Exciting perks.
Very economical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a month since we last caught up. Well, actually, we're going to release both episodes at the same time, but let's recap what's happened in the last month. So, and throughout August, I can briefly go first. I have some quick notes here. So I went to Tahoe for a weekend with a few friends. I think Tahoe was very nice. It was like great to reconnect with nature. And it definitely helped with my burnout from work, but I still am definitely thinking about like alternative career paths. I got my hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
You probably can't tell because we're not going to upload the video for the first episode, but that was a little bit of like I want to change my life. It's been a year post grad kind of vibe.
Is this like a existential crisis moment?
Or yeah, like it was like I need a change. Let me cut off like half of my hair.
Okay.
Yeah. And then one of my close college friends came to visit for Labor Day weekend. And that was like really nice, really touching, and it was like back to college again, and it kind of made me a little sad and sentimental, but we can talk about that later. And then I'm getting back into doing more like exercising because the past couple projects are like I've been on has not allowed me to do that. So that's definitely like made me happier, I think. But yeah, so that's my life updates. Nothing too exciting, just typical early midlife crisis. No, quarter life crisis, not midlife crisis. I'm not that old.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. I still feel 20 though. I'm not 23.
I think since our last podcast about a month ago, I went to Seattle recently because one of my best friends.
You went golfing.
Yes, I went golfing.
We can hit the range.
A weird new thing I learned is that like, because I remember like early 20s, like I was like everyone's like getting super into running.
Yeah.
But I think golf is like also for some reason kind of getting up there. So I was like,
it's the quiet luxury chic. That's it.
Yeah, so I went golfing for the first time. Honestly, I think like growing up, I had so many like I was so prejudiced against it because I was like, this is such like a rich white people sport. I'm just like, are you really doing much? Or are you just kind of just like standing there a little bit?
It's actually really hard.
It's way harder than I thought. And then so much more respect towards like people that play it.
Golf, yeah.
And then I think because I grew up playing tennis, I feel like the skills actually transfer decently.
Really?
Well.
I heard that like if you know how to play tennis, like the swing is completely different, so it kind of messes you
like,
up.
I think it's one of the like racket sports swings that you actually like you go down. So it's like the same for the golf motion, but you're just using hands, yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just a person that like I like things that like I'm decent at.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So I look at golf somewhat favorably.
Okay.
Moment, yeah. Another exciting update. So I actually got promoted recently.
Woo! I actually didn't even know. You didn't even tell me. Okay, it's fine.
But yeah, that's been exciting. I think I learned like actually just a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So more monies. What are you doing? What are you doing with the new increase in income?
Increase in salary? Honestly, like probably just to save it all.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I make like enough to like live like pretty comfortably now, so I'm not treating it as like anything really different.
Yeah.
But I think it's just been nice because like I think since the half like back in January, I felt like I was grinding a bit for it. So it's like it feels nice to like kind of like to be like recognized for this in a sense, and then kind of just move on to like the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. but that's what I have to say.
A lot more positive than what I had to say. Mine was like, I'm going through all these changes. Life is, yeah. But for the topic of today's episode will be about our childhood. So we kind of got inspired by this episode after watching the new movie Dìdi. We actually have a special guest today, Helena's roommate Grace. If you want to give, I would clap, but I have my cup. Woo!
Yay!
Show a little more enthusiasm, Grace.
Hello, everyone.
Do you want to do? Okay, the glasses are coming on.
Oh yes.
Do you want to do a quick intro?
Brief intro. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace, and yes, I'm one of Helena's roommates in SF. We're from the same hometown, so I'm also from the Chicagoland area, and yeah, have been working as a software engineer, unsurprisingly, at a startup in the Bay.
And then,
Yay.
for context, Grace and I have known each other for 11 years now?
Yes, since 6th grade.
6th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Grace, since you are here, would you like to kick us off on your Dìdi reflection?
Oh no. Okay. Well, so this might be a
Wait, also spoilers in case you guys have not seen the movie.
Skip.
Yeah. Or just, I guess it's like the majority of the episode will be about this. So,
I mean,
light spoilers.
Are there really any spoilers?
Light spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, to give a brief summary, I guess, like, Dìdi is a Taiwanese American film that follows the story of, how old is he?
I don't know, he's
13.
in middle school.
Yeah, some middle school aged Taiwanese American boy. So his parents, he currently lives with his mom, his older sister, and his grandma in like Fremont.
Yeah.
I think in California. So it's just a coming of age story, how he deals with like romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships, all that good stuff when you're that age. And yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I'll have like a hot take on this film. Because I've heard like lots of really positive reviews about it, and like the three of us talked about it after we watched it too. And I definitely really enjoyed how relatable it is, and I guess like the others might touch on later too, that like it's kind of shocking how relatable it is, because like the story of our kind of like ABC generation is not really something that's commonly portrayed in media and stuff. So it's just like the fact that the story now exists and like people can like see it in the theater is kind of crazy. And obviously like we were way past middle school.
Yeah.
So looking back at like what it's like to be in middle school, like with immigrant parents, and like maybe a little bit of sibling relationships too back then, was also just very nostalgic. So it definitely hit very close to home. But I think for me, maybe this is just me when I watch films, but I like to think about if I've like taken anything away, or if there were any like points about the story or how the film was made that was just interesting or stood out to me. And I think that because this film just felt so familiar and so relatable, it made me feel like I didn't take that much away.
Yeah, because it's just like it's just like my life, but on film. Like I know it so well. What did I learn?
Exactly. I was like, oh yeah, like I remember. I also used to be like that. My relationship with my younger brother was also like that.
Yeah, when they would fight, I'd just be like, oh my god, this is exactly how we would fight.
But isn't that part of it just like building that empathy a little bit, especially with kind of that ending scene with like him and the mom? Like I don't know, like all films like need this story, but maybe this is just like a reminder, like that nostalgia factor that you were like kind of talking about.
Yeah, but I was definitely less of a troublemaker than he was in the
But
Oh yeah.
I think obviously
Yeah.
everything was like
I think that was for
over
dramatic
dramatized.
yeah. But I was definitely more emo for sure.
As a middle schooler?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you doing?
I wasn't emo in like the typical you would goth like dress in all black sense, but I was definitely in the I hate life nihilistic mindset.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. We could bring around my.
We need to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since we talked about it, like I think I don't want to spoil too much of like what the others might say, but I think it is good just to like have this film as a reminder of what we came from and what we experienced. Maybe like, you know, remembering how, because I was also a rebellious like middle schooler, high schooler, and this was like a reminder that like maybe back then I wasn't like as good of a child to my parents. And
I was definitely not.
Yeah,
I was so sassy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I said some things and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, honestly, embarrassing for me even to say that I said that.
Yeah. So, like, seeing those parts in the film were, like, kind of, like, cringy, but also sometimes hard to watch because it was like, oh, like, I was exactly like this. And seeing it from, like, an outsider's perspective makes me realize, like, oh, that's so sad. Like, that's so mean.
I think, that's why I think I really like the film just because of those, like, embarrassing kind of moments. It's, like, hard to watch. I think, I haven't had an argument with my parents in, like, a really long time. And then, so, like, I, like, forgot, like, how I acted, like, when I was, like, you know, younger and, like, I guess just has so much attitude and would, like, talk back. But, like, there was, like, one scene, I think, where he was, like, to his mom, it was, like, I hate you. Like, I hate you. And, like, you know, just stuff like that.
I've said worse. I don't know.
Whoa.
But, like, you know, as a middle schooler, as a child, like, I've definitely said those for, like, extremely petty reasons.
Yeah.
But, like, I, like, never really thought about the consequences of, like, kind of saying those words. And then, like, now, like, I, like, seen this film from, like, an outside perspective also, like, when we're in our 20s now, too. It's, like, damn, like, I wonder how, like, my parents felt, like, when we were saying those words to them. And, like, hopefully they, like, obviously wouldn't, like, take it, like, the right way, but, or, like, take it, like, that I really mean that. But I don't know, it's like they're also living this life for, like, the first time as well, so.
I mean, yeah, I think the expectation is, like, when you're a teenager, like, they just hate you.
Isn't that kind of sad, though?
It is sad. But I think it's also part of, like, the growing up process because, like, when you're younger, I mean, this is psychology stuff. It's, like, you become really dependent on your parents because you think, like, oh, like, they know a lot. You know what I mean? And they're, like, oh, like, they have a lot of knowledge. But I think once you enter middle school, it's like, oh, shit, like, I feel like I might actually know more. I feel like that was what caused my rebellion.
More than them?
Yeah, more than them. I was like, oh, I think it's also because they're immigrants. So I was like, oh, I feel like I know more. I know more about this. Like, your opinion doesn't really matter because you're not living the same life that I am.
What were you arguing about? Or, like, you thought you knew more in middle school? Because you haven't gone to, because I feel like high school is the biggest, like I know more about the college application process.
Oh, yeah, that too. I mean, this is, like, it transcends the time. Or, like, middle school is like, oh, like, yeah, I think, like, they just didn't grow up here. So I was like, you can't help me because you don't know how it works. Just let me handle it and stop, like bugging me.
Like, I mean, it's just, like, social life and, like, navigating school dynamics.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, great film. I recommend.
Yeah, Helena's take.
Yeah. But maybe we can talk about, like, how our relationship with our family has evolved over time. So I think, like, when I was younger, I definitely did not respect my parents that much. That's hard. That's, like,
so relatable.
I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my, I think this is, like, the rudest thing I've ever said, but I was definitely really sassy as a child, and I, like,
for context, Judy still is.
I'm pretty sassy, yeah. What I said, my comebacks are a little too, like, pointed. I literally said to my parents once, like, oh my god, like, your role in my life can be replaced by two things: a driver and, like, an ATM machine. Like, that's the only things you can provide me.
Damn.
What happened to love?
That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I feel like Asian parents are not that emotionally attuned to their kids. So I was like, or also I feel like I didn't feel like I could go to them with my problems because I was like, oh my god, I just feel like they won't understand. They didn't grow up here. So I was like, you don't actually. I lean more on my friends, so that's probably why I'm close to some of the people I grew up with, because I would like rant to them all the time and like we would help each other. And my parents didn't really do that for me. I mean, the reason they didn't do that is because they were busy working a bunch of jobs trying to make money and like fulfill a life for me. But like, middle school Dìdi didn't give a shit about that back then. She was like, why aren't they here?
You said that in middle school?
Yeah.
You were thinking really big and big.
I was like, I don't think I even comprehended that sort of like what kind of role my parents had.
Oh, because I watched a bunch of TV. I was like, that's what the parents should be like. My parents are not like that.
What kind of TV were you watching?
I don't know what I was. Disney Channel.
Oh my gosh. Wait, that's like crazy to think about, because I'm like, I feel like I had so little thoughts in middle school to like, I don't know, like think about like, what was even stressing us out in middle school of all things? Like I went to
I was on the grind set early in life.
Okay.
So I was like, I was definitely a tryhard in middle school. Like there was an all A award or something, and I was like, I'm gonna get that all A's award. And the worst thing is, when I got promoted from middle school or high school, they got rid of the all A's award. Like they using that word. It's called promotion.
Everyone goes to high school after middle school. Okay,
hey, not everyone, Grace. Okay.
Yes, you're right.
It's a key milestone. Congratulations. Thanks. So like during promotion, they would just tell people to stand up. In the past, they would actually give out awards, and I was like, "Where is my trophy? I want my trophy."
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry this moment got taken away.
I know. All 3 years working. But yeah, so that was what I was thinking growing up. I was like, okay, my parents don't have any perspective to offer me that's valuable because they didn't grow up here and they don't know anything. That's what I thought growing up. But I think and then high school, I was like too busy thinking about college apps to like really spend time with them. But I think like when I went to college and there was a lot of space between us, like I realized, there's actually a lot of things I can talk to them about, and they do offer good perspectives. But I think also having space between your parents helps, because I think in my mindset I was already an adult, and like I don't want to be treated like a child in high school, because like the nagging aspect is like really big, and I think like that's why I can't spend like so much time with them all the time when I'm home, because I think, and sometimes it's maybe my parents just mellowed out over time and they've changed, but like there are definitely points where like my mom just says, like she just like gets on a roll and she starts like nitpicking everything, like what Asian parents do. And like these days I more so just let it go, because I'm just like, whatever, like it's fine, like there's no use arguing with her over it because she's not gonna change. She's literally like almost 60. It's not gonna happen. And so like that's how I think now, but back then I was like still like very headstrong. I was like, I can get them to change. Yeah. And now it's like, I just kind of let it go. But there are some times where they test my patience a little bit. I'm just like, yeah.
Wait, I'm curious about, because I think I mentioned like I haven't argued with my parents like since going to college.
Oh, me? I haven't really argued
or
with
like
them.
there's no point of like contention either. Or,
yeah.
Like, but I think you just said that there's like points where like your parents like cause you to lose patience.
So you're saying your parents have never ever annoyed you since college?
I mean, like,
is that possible? If it is, I need to reconsider. I gotta think about.
Wait. Like, while you ponder, I'm gonna ponder. Because what is there to stress about?
Or my mom would just be like, "Oh my god, Judy, like, why don't you have a boyfriend?" Like, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm working on it.
Okay, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Or it's like, "Oh, Judy, like, why don't you do like," or like even like nitpicking small things, like, "Why do you keep the fridge door open for so long?" And I'm like, "You didn't have to make that comment. I will just close the fridge door." Yeah, so like things like that. But also, I think, like, do you think your parents have ever apologized to you about anything? Because I feel like in Asian culture, like, parents or like authority figures don't really apologize that often. I think I can count on one hand how many times my parents have apologized in my entire lifetime.
How many times have you apologized to them?
All the time.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Oh wow. This is so interesting. I didn't know like all of our family dynamics were so.
Actually, I think
Cause like honestly, I don't really apologize that much to my parents, but I feel like they apologize a lot to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like similarly, even to this day, they still like nag me a lot. Like they annoy me probably every other time I
Yeah.
talk to them. But then like I think I'm still pretty hot headed.
Yeah.
So when they annoy me, then I like all of a sudden I'm like like that's so annoying. Like why would you say that?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like don't tell me what to do. Blah blah blah. So I think every time I'm like that, then they're like, oh, like Mom is sorry, like Dad is sorry, didn't mean it like that.
Oh,
love you,
wow.
blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
I think I'm
Yeah.
the middle then. I think my parents don't apologize and I don't apologize back.
So please clarify. Does that mean like everything's going well between you,
Yeah,
or like
everything's
no
fine.
one just apologizes? It's like you're like I'm mad, and they're like I'm mad too, and you're just like no.
I haven't been mad at my parents in a while. That's the thing.
That makes sense. Well, I'm just thinking back to when I was younger. Like, whenever we'd get in fights, like, my mom would just give me the cold shoulder so that I would feel bad and then I would
Your
apologize.
mom would give you the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of dramatic. Like imagine like. Okay, maybe I should say that. Never mind.
Well, like, the cold shoulder would be like, you'd be like, oh, she would do the things that normally she would do, but she would just, like, not engage with me a lot. You know what I mean? And I would apologize.
Interesting.
But I would never feel sorry. I would just say it. I would just say it. I would just apologize.
Okay, guys, so if Judy ever apologizes to you, take a moment to think that she's really sorry.
Depends on how fast she does it. If it's like immediate, it's I don't believe it.
It's not. I feel like it depends. I think in that relationship, it's more like, oh, I value your relationship as my parent more, but I don't feel sorry for what I did, but I feel sorry for how I made you feel.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I did anything wrong, but I like.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I will apologize for the sake of our relationship and like take the hit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So interesting. No, then I still maintain neither of us apologizes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom's apologized to me like a few times when things were like, she was like, oh yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have said that. I was like, yeah.
Wait, so do you think you or your mom is more stubborn?
Oh, my mom for sure. That woman is like, oh no. Okay, sorry, I just got on my hand, a little bit on the towel, on the
paper towel.
Yeah. It's just a little bit. It's also mostly water.
That's true, yeah.
Crisis.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Okay, what were we
Problems
talking
of having
about?
a white couch. We were talking about who apologizes in your family.
Oh.
Yeah. So I asked why, like, or who you think between you and your mom who's more stubborn.
Yeah.
Because I think between me and my mom, at least in terms of like when we're like arguing with each other, I'm more stubborn.
Oh.
So then she apologizes.
Yeah.
No. So wait, what?
You're more stubborn.
I'm more stubborn.
So she apologizes more. Yeah, that's right.
Because you want back down.
Yeah. And your mom is more stubborn, so you're the one who ends up.
Yeah. Or my dad just kind of coaxes me into it sometimes.
Huh?
My dad, because my dad
like tells you to apologize.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you just say sorry, it'll be fine. I'm like, no, I'm not apologizing this time. She has to do it to me. But I always end up doing it. I'm like, I cave. Yeah.
Because really just like my dad and I sometimes, so it's like, I think my dad's a very patient person. So
Yeah.
it's like, we never reached that point of like, I don't know, having like a full-blown argument. So then never is anyone like at odds with each other, or like is there like really a need to
Yeah, I mean,
apologize
the
either?
last time this happened was like high school.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But also, I think for me, it's like, my dad's logic is just a lot better than me. So like, if we ever do have an argument, I think when it was like high school, like 99.999% of the times I'm wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a right and wrong.
Or like, I basically was
Okay,
just like,
do you guys
lose
even
the
remember what you
argument.
fight about? Like, I could like, think about the fight, but I totally forgot what we were fighting about.
I feel like when I'd fight with my parents, it's always about the same things, so I remember.
Oh, okay.
But
Is it just like future job, career, stuff like that?
yeah, just like big life things that my parents have things to say about. Yeah. Anyway, you were saying something. Oh, 99.99% of the time, your dad's
that's right.
And that's right, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just had a follow-up question.
Yes. No, but I don't remember what the argument
Yeah,
was.
because I was like, I'm curious. What do you remember?
But you know you're wrong. So
I
there's a right and wrong.
maybe he's more stubborn then, because I will more easily admit that I'm wrong. Yeah. But that's different than apologizing.
That is different.
Yeah.
That is different. Yeah.
That's more kind of like you're settling. You're like compromising, at least. You're like dealing with the argument, because sometimes like I feel like apologizing is like when one person or both people are just like, I don't want to argue anymore, so you just say sorry to kind of like
Yeah.
end
That's
the
what I do.
conversation, But
I'm
that's
like,
more like you're like actually resolving.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes like maybe I shouldn't apologize, because I'm like I'm not actually sorry. I just don't want to argue about it anymore. Yeah.
Then maybe you could just compromise then, yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't think my mom's willing to compromise, so that's why I just say sorry.
Yeah.
I think the things I argue with my mom about are just not things that can be compromised on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a different worldview. It's like not something that's like something that's actionable.
Yeah. So like I was curious why like you were like, oh, I admitted that I was wrong, and I was like, oh, so you think there was like always a right and a wrong in those arguments? Because I think at least like especially in more recent years, because I can't remember my old arguments with my parents, but like my more recent arguments with my parents are like neither of us are right or wrong. We just inherently have different values and different like perspectives on what life should be, or like what you should strive for in life.
Yeah.
We just like have different priorities and have different values, and it's just different. So like she thinks I should do something, but I think I should do something else, and it's like there's no compromise, and neither of us is right. It's just that we believe differently.
I think on like that note, I think like at least my dad is like very, I guess, understanding of like my like point of view, so he doesn't always like say like this is what he thinks that I should do. So he just like like hearing what I have to say, I think he like understands that. But also like we're at the point of our lives where it's like completely different than where our parents were when they were 23. So it's like you can't compare like across that sort of generation. Like like where I'm at like in my career, like my dad can't relate to this. Like
my parents can't either. My parents also got married at this age, and they're like, but my mom said do not get married that early. So
so then part of us is like, what kind of like perspective can you bring in if you haven't lived this either? Like
it's just the immigrant. It's like different. Yeah, the immigrant. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't have good words there. But a question that I had, like if you were to look back at your childhood, like what would be some like canon events? Like, like in Spider-Verse, they have like a canon event. Like what are your canon events?
That like really shaped who you are today.
Since you asked the question, do you have your list in mind?
This is like the Uno reverse card. Do I have any canon events?
Like how many are we talking about? And like starting from when?
I think there are probably
so this
3.
Is unrelated, but your skin looks really good.
Oh, thanks.
You're like glowing. Anyway.
Oh, I got acupuncture done yesterday.
On your face?
Not on my face.
Oh.
On my lower back, and I got a massage through my insurance.
Oh.
And my friend also said I was glowing, so low-key, maybe I should go more often.
Wait, does that like the blood transfer into your face? I'm so
I
confused.
don't know. Jongi, like, I believe it. Chinese medicine, I believe it. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so I think I can think of 3 canon events. 2 of them are school related, and 1 of them is like personal. Or actually, maybe 4. Actually, what are we defining as childhood? Like, 18 under, 18 under, or like any time before now? I think any time before now is probably.
I was thinking childhood, like elementary.
Elementary school?
Girl, I don't remember anything. Elementary.
Fine. How about elementary, middle?
Elementary and middle school.
Fine.
I'll do high school and
before 18.
before 18.
Okay, so up to end of high school.
Yeah.
Canon events. I think the first one is probably like in 5th grade. We take a math test to decide if we're gonna skip 1 or 2 levels to go in middle school. So like the test was whether you can skip directly to pre-algebra, or like you have to take like the regular 6th grade math. So at the time I had taken the test, but I like hadn't passed it for some reason. But then like at the point I was like really sad because like, oh my god, like I thought I would have passed this exam. Like I thought it was pretty straightforward. But then it was like the first time I think my parents were my parents stood up for me at school. Like they wanted to go talk to like the math teacher or the
like,
math.
Why you didn't pass?
Like why you didn't pass. And it turns out it was like at the discretion of my homeroom teacher, and they were like, oh, like Judy should have passed. But I just think a homeroom teacher like may not liked me, so they didn't pass me. So
what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh?
Yeah.
So it's not objective.
It's not objective. It's like, oh, if you're like once you get the score, like your like homeroom teacher or like your 5th grade has to evaluate you across all dimensions and then let you pass or not. I was the only Asian one, so the other people who passed were white, so I don't know. But
my Asian good at math daughter has not passed this math test.
Yeah, but my mom was like, yeah, so she talked to like the math like superintendent or whatever, and she was like, yeah, we'll let Judy like just retake the test and then she can go. And so like, and it was like the first time I was like, oh my god, like my parents have like such faith in me, like more faith than I had in myself. Aww. So I think it gave me the sense. I think they always instilled in me that Judy, like you, and I like everyone says to their parents like, oh, you're special, you know, like but I think they actually instilled the confidence in me that I can really do whatever I want, and I think that like made me delusional, but also like has made me I think like have a lot of confidence in myself, and I'm willing to bet on myself. So something like that was very defining.
I have a follow-up though.
Yeah.
Like at what point did you like become conscious of that confidence from that incident? Because unless you're saying like at 5th grade you were like, I'm confident. I can't, like I am better.
You might not like have a specific defining thing, but it's like I guess you could trace it back.
Yeah. I think it's mostly my parents have always said growing up, like, Judy, like you can be great. Like that's what they've always said. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then that's the first time they like acted on it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow. Yeah, they just made me delusional. So like whatever.
I think I just thought of mine.
Yeah.
So wait, are we just doing one?
Or I can like we can go round robin, like if you have follow-ups, you know? Like I don't want just to be me.
Okay. We can each start with one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for some context, and then you guys know, so I grew up an only child, and then you know the stereotypes for an only child, it's like non-socializable, weirdo, super spoiled, and then like yada yada, like only thinks for themselves. What's the face?
I'm listening to see what you'll continue to say.
Okay. So I think like I will still describe myself. I think as my whole childhood, I was like very spoiled by my parents, and then even now, like I will still say like I'm quite spoiled, and then I think a lot of people will comment or like very surprised that like I will like openly kind of admit that. But I think there's a difference between being spoiled and being like entitled.
Okay,
so
I see that.
So I'm spoiled, or I will say I'm spoiled, but I wouldn't say that like I'm entitled, which is I think the huge difference.
Yeah.
But I think when I was younger, I was both.
Oh.
So spoiled and like
Wait,
entitled.
I don't really understand.
I think my understanding is like spoiled is like, oh, it's like people giving you something, a lot of something. Whereas entitled, you feel like you deserve to get a lot from someone else. Whereas being spoiled is like someone freely gives it to you. Yeah, right? I think that's what we
So it's
mean.
like you're spoiled, like, you know, your parents, like people like will kind of give you what you want and like possibly like a little bit more as well. But when you're entitled, right, you just feel like you deserve kind of like everything that's been given to you. So you, I think, like basically just have a lack of kind of gratitude towards like a lot of things in your life.
I think it makes sense. It can go hand in hand.
Yeah. So like, you can be spoiled, but I think as long as you're like your environment and your parents like kind of instill like the right values in you, that like, you know, you have to work hard to like get all these things, and like you can grow fine. Sorry, not fine, but like decent. But I think as a child, it was like, so I'm an only child, and then like my mom was an only child as well, so I'm also my grandparents' like only grandchild as well.
Oh my gosh.
And then growing up, my mom's side grandparents also lived with us at home, so it was like, because of my parents spoiling me, and then it was like my grandparents spoiling me, it was like this whole like layer and like funnel. So it was like, I grew up extremely, I think, entitled as well. It was like, I think everything was just done for me.
Yeah.
And then I just expected everything to be done for me as well. It was like, because I never done chores, right? Because our parents were always like, you know, you should focus more on your studies as well. And then like,
I never did chores.
Oh, okay.
I still don't do chores.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're also exposing ourselves. Yeah. But I think it was just the lack of gratitude I had. I think especially towards my grandparents. I think there was one moment, I think I was having dinner with my family, and then like I think I just like didn't finish like what was like left in my like dinner plate, and then like I think my like grandma like offered to like finish it for me, and then like I just like made the comment. It was like I just made a comment. I was like,阿婆你怎么这么胖? Like, I guess
for translation, it's like, oh, why are you so fat? So fat.
Sorry, translation would be like, grandma, like, why are you so fat?
Yeah,
for eating my food. And then like, I don't know, I just thought I was like being like a funny like little like elementary or like middle schooler. My dad got so pissed at me because he was like you know, like, your grandma's like doing this to like not waste food, and like your grandparents had like, you know, prepared all this like food for you, and I was like, why are you like being so ungrateful, kind of like all of that, because I was like so out of pocket like for me to have said, like, I don't even know why I said it, because I just like, for me it was just like, you know, food that was just like on the table that like, you know, I was like expecting to have, but like to like get to that point, like there was like so much like love like throughout like so many different people, and I had just like really just disregarded it like completely like that. So I think after that moment, I was like, wow, like I really kind of needed like an attitude check towards like everyone in my family a little bit. So, and that was like pretty young age too, because I remember this like fairly clearly. But so I think like growing up child, like spoiled and entitled, but now it's like, okay, like I gotta work on like the gratitude like towards like the people around me a little bit.
The audacity of childhood Elena.
Well, yeah, I also have said some out-of-pocket stuff.
I mean, haven't we all?
Yeah. Honestly, I just didn't know what the right thing was to say. Sometimes.
Yeah, I think I just don't remember the specific instances where I was like saying out-of-pocket things. So I'm glad that you've reflected.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really good. Is it my turn?
Yes. What's your canon event?
I've
known you since 6th grade, so if it's like past when I know you, I'll comment on it.
I don't know what that means.
I'm like, no, she has not changed.
It's actually
before.
Yeah, you might not be able to comment on it. Actually, it's around that period. So I guess this first canon event is more about kind of understanding who I am amidst like the community I am in. Anyway, I'll explain. So, because that made no sense.
Doesn't know.
So, yeah, so basically, My younger brother and I were both born in the Bay Area.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we were both born in Redwood City. Then we lived up. Most of my living memory is up in Walnut Creek, which is like
oh my
a little
gosh.
past Berkeley.
Wait, Dan lived in Walnut Creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Walnut Creek.
He lives there now.
He lives there now?
Yeah.
He lived in the city.
He moved.
Sorry, we digress.
Yeah.
He moved to Walnut Creek?
Well, his parents live there. Like.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Okay, sorry. I was like Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek just has.
It's a great suburb. What can I say?
Yeah, it's just classic white bougie suburb.
Yeah.
We digress.
Yeah. Anyway, so I grew up here, and then but in summer after 4th grade, because of my dad's job, that's when we moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And yeah, I just remember like, my childhood growing up in the Bay Area, super happy, just, carefree as I am as an elementary school kid, and it was fine. But then after I moved, and then I was like put in a new elementary school, and there were like no other Asians in my elementary school. And like, cause I was so used to like having friends and just like having fun with people here. So
this was back in Chicago.
Yeah, this is when I first moved to Naperville, in 5th grade. So it was just like all of a sudden it was a huge change. And like obviously when I was in elementary school, I wasn't like conscientious enough to like realize like, oh, like I'm actually lonely now, or oh, I actually have like trouble fitting in or stuff like that. It was just a matter of fact. But like it was just all of a sudden I only had like one friend in class, and then I was like in our gifted program, but
gifted.
Yeah, we love that.
We love.
Yeah, but it was like that, and I just remember like not really feeling like I belonged anywhere, or like having any community, not really like feeling like I felt or that I fit into school. I don't know. It was just like a objectively lonely year, although I didn't feel lonely because I was like in 5th grade. But then in 6th grade, I tested into even higher gifted program.
That's when I met Grace for the first time.
Yes, and then so then at that point, because of the gifted program, like all of the people in that cohort all had to go to the same middle school because our district had like a few different middle schools. And I went to like public school, so it's just based on where you live. So I went to a different middle school than I would have if I didn't get into the gifted program. And then I was like, all of a sudden, I was surrounded by so many Asians. I was like, wow. And then I started like going to Chinese school.
We love Chinese school.
And everything. And so it was just like, all of a sudden, I was just surrounded by people my age who I felt like, came from similar backgrounds, had similar values, and like cared about the same stuff. And also just like same senses of humor, like that all ties together.
Yeah.
More similar. And I think as like when I'm younger, that was like really nice because it's a lot easier to connect with people.
Wait, that's crazy. Like the fact that it's because you tested in that gifted program, like that we met, and then like
because
your life is like the way it is now.
Yeah, because then I think it was after 6th grade. So when my family first moved to Chicago, we were renting a house. And then after 6th grade, we moved, and my parents bought a house that was close to our middle school. But yeah, if I didn't test in the program, I would have gone to a different middle school. Yeah, and then who knows what would happen.
Canon event.
Yeah.
This just goes to show that like you're just so smart.
Yeah. I was in all the gifted programs in school. It's so special. Literally, like now that like 10 whatever years down the line, literally it makes no difference. Anyway, well, it was nice to have some friends.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I don't agree with the fact that like it made no difference though. This is like you met the people that you met.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I mean, like, I guess I meant more like when you're younger, having those like separation of like intellectual ability doesn't seem to really have like. Okay, maybe it has. I don't know.
Wait, what?
Because it's like okay, not to sound condescending.
Okay.
Right, but you weren't in the program in the middle school.
Damn! Shots fired!
I'm just saying.
Just facts.
Okay?
Just
like,
facts.
We didn't take the same classes or anything
Wow.
in middle school, but like here we are. We're like literally living in the same city. We literally like are both software engineers at like great companies in Silicon Valley area. So it's like 10 years later, it really made not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
No, I love that where we got to.
You gonna let me finish?
That's so funny.
I'm
Anyway,
dead.
So that's what I'm saying.
Can the title be "You Were Not in the Good Time"?
Like me. You were not in my good program.
That's so funny.
So my
Sorry.
takeaway is like, yeah, my takeaway is not like, wow, like as a child I was so smart, whatever. It was like,
Yeah, no, that is the takeaway.
guys.
Kidding, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah. Well, so the
Takeaway is I got
Not
some new
respond to that.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wait.
think it was just like now that I'm older and I'm looking back on that experience, it was like just realizing how the people that I surround myself with matter, and because I think a lot of the reason why in middle school, like all of a sudden I just felt like I could bond with the people in my program was like because like, you know, back in elementary, middle, high school, I was very like academically driven. Like that was the only thing I cared about.
Real.
And so like in this program, obviously everyone in the program, well not everyone, but like most people there are also like very highly academically driven because you have to like take tests and get above a certain score to get in this program. So obviously like either they're like naturally super smart or like me, they also went through a bunch of test prep to like get there. It was like, okay. But I think it was like now that I'm older and I look back, it's like, oh, it is kind of important to like or like values matter, I guess. Like people having the same values just makes a huge difference in like how you're able to connect and like form those kinds of relationships. So I don't know if there's like any like lessons per se that I learned from this experience, but I think it was just like the first really big change in my life. Yeah, that's about it. It was like a first big change, and now that I'm older, I look back on it and I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that like shaped. I feel like that played a huge role in like setting a foundation for where I got today.
So I heard this quote recently. It's kind of related to what you just said, but it's like, so our parents like gave us life, but it's like, I think our friends and like the people that we've met that like gives us the life that we currently lead. So it's like, so like we've been like friends for like what the past like 11 years. So it's like I feel like you're such a constant in my life, and it's like hard to see like it without it. And like Judy, like we met like about a year ago probably at this point.
Yeah.
Like, was such a like a bubbly, you know, bright personality, audacious, you know,
thanks,
like presence in
guys.
my life. So
Wow.
it's like,
Um,
yeah, it's like my life is like the way it is because of like you guys and like others. So you know, it's just always something to be grateful and gratitude
Yeah.
for.
I guess one more question. I think we might close out right after this because I think it's been a little bit. How do you think being Asian American has influenced your experience growing up? Because like I grew up not in the Bay Area, so like when I moved here, I was like, dang, like the people grew up here like so privileged to have boba like through their entire life, and like I was just so happy that a boba store opened up in like middle school. or like things like that, or like Asian representation was like YouTube, like Nigahiga, like those YouTubers were my representation growing up. So curious how you guys growing up in Chicago area, which is like not super Asian. Like for us, maybe our high school is like 15% Asian as well. In the Philly area.
Yeah, I think we were what 20% maybe. Do you think?
Yeah.
But okay, so like we're definitely a minority of like being 20%, but you know, I did take gifted classes.
She really just has to like put it out there, like.
But like the honors, like AP, like all those, like all my classmates there were like, we were majority Asian at that point, so it's like, yes, like definitely a minority, but like in the small things, it was like very like we're still like the majority. So it's like everywhere, like where I spend most of my hours, I'm like surrounded by like still a lot of Asians.
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
Coming to the Bay was like, yes, it was a shocker because I was like, there's so many just like walking across the street, but like not so much of like a culture shock, I would say.
I think for me, similarly, like because I took a lot of honors and AP classes for all high school, like they were definitely a stronger Asian percentage in that group. And then when I went to college, I think it was like most of my friends, like all my friends are basically Asian from college too. But I think in elementary school, I was like one of 2 Asians in my entire elementary school. And I don't ever felt like I was different. I mean, obviously I look different. Like,
yeah,
I've been like visually, you can tell. But I think at the time, like my parents had just instilled in me like, oh, you should be proud to be Chinese. And like, I was like, yeah, I'm proud. Like, yeah, that's right. You know, this is like the delusion aspect, you know what I mean? So it just instilled a lot of confidence in me as elementary school.
Did you ever have like that like stinky lunch kind of syndrome?
Oh yes. Okay, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
So like, you know, pork floss, right?
Yeah.
So I had pork floss as a snack for lunch, and then like people would be like, "Oh, like why are you eating hair?" And I was like, well, it's fucking delicious. You should try some.
Yeah, I'm sure elementary school Judy was like that.
Yeah, so like I think like looking back, I'm like, oh, like that was racism. But at the time, I was like,
that was racism.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, well, not racism. It was like I don't think like they were being racist. They were probably just like elementary school students like don't have like a lot of like hot like awareness, you know.
No bad intentions.
No bad intentions.
Yeah.
They were probably just like
they're just
kids.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, you know, it's great.
Well, it's yummy.
So I think like that pride has definitely helped me like kind of navigate feeling like, oh, like I want to be white, because I think like if I didn't have that, like maybe I would have thought that way, like, oh, everyone else is white, like why can't I be white? I even thought to the point like, oh, I want to, because I have actually double eyelids. I don't know you guys, when I was growing up,
okay, flex.
When I was growing up, I really wanted monolids. Because I was like, oh, I want to be Chinese. Because my monolid's characteristically Chinese, right? I was like, but why don't I have monolids?
Oh, that's so interesting.
But like now, like the culture is like so much more different. Like, and I'm like, oh, like at the time I was like, oh, I really want to be super Chinese. Yeah.
I think the most defining moment was like when I didn't feel a lot of Asian pride. Maybe it's probably not the right word. I'll just explain it first, but I was actually in the ESL classes when I was like.
Oh, so was my brother.
Really young in like elementary, but I think the worst part was that I thought I was in some like advanced English.
That's the delusion, you know. I get too far in life.
I think so. What happened was, I think I was elementary. I was in advanced like math class, right? So then I think I think one day, like all of a sudden, I think me and like these like 3 other like guys got put into like this like smaller like turns out in retrospect it was ESL. But like the funny part is like I think almost everyone in that small group happened to be like Asian. Yeah. And then so we were all in that like advanced math class. So I just assumed, right, you know, like Asian, good at math. So I was like, damn, we're all in this like advanced like English class. No, we were all in the advanced or like the ESL class. So I was like, oh my goodness, like the delusion is like so real. Because I was like,
it starts from back then.
So I was like, damn, Asian pride, like everyone's good at math, like we better be good at English too. I don't even know why I was put in that ESL class. I was like, that's like the biggest like mystery like in my life still.
Honestly, my brother the funniest thing is my brother was really quiet growing up, so the people thought like he was an ESL, like he didn't know how to speak English basically because he was so quiet, even though he did.
Yeah.
So he got put in ESL class. But our ESL class was right after school, so basically my mom got free daycare without having to pay for daycare after school, and she was like, "Oh my god, Eric, this is such a hack. I love it. Not only do you get to learn, but I don't have to pay for after school daycare."
It was after school. That's
yeah.
Huh.
That's. I guess that would be an extra effort.
But I guess you grew up in the Bay Area, so it was like elementary
Well, I feel like I would actually say I grew up in Naperville, in the Chicagoland area, because like it was only until 4th grade when I was here, and like, you know, I have no recollection of any like conscious learning or development of self-awareness while I was here. So I feel like I grew up like in Chicago.
Yeah.
But
no, this ESL was a core memory. I think it was like 2nd, 3rd grade. Yeah.
I mean, I have like a lot of random memories from like elementary school, but yeah, I think like this also kind of ties into now when I look back to how I moved from the Bay Area to Chicago, is also like a realization that I had my first experience with like differences in identity back then, even if I wasn't aware of it. Because like, well, even when I was in the Bay Area, so interestingly enough, maybe it's just Walnut Creek that's not diverse, but the elementary school I went to, even though the Bay Area is known for being like saturated with Asians, I was actually the only Chinese person in my grade in my elementary school here. I remember there was like one Korean girl, there were like 2 Vietnamese girls, but I was the only Chinese person.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But even then, it didn't really matter to me back then. But then it's like all of a sudden when I moved and in 5th grade, maybe I was the only Asian in my class all of a sudden. Not that it really mattered, but I guess looking back, maybe it did have some sort of role in like how I fit in there. And then it was like all of a sudden I went to 6th grade, and then like at our middle school there were so many Asians. Even then it wasn't like so many Asians, because like Helena said, like our ratio is probably only like 20% still. I think it was just like the nature of, you know, taking like higher level classes in middle school and high school just like made me naturally more surrounded by other Asians.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. On that note, should we wrap up?
I'm being kicked out. You guys doing your next segment?
No, we're just doing the outro.
I think we can just do an outro. Yeah. Okay. So that's it for us at Yappy Hour in SF. Thank you all for listening to us and our rambling. I'm Judy.
I'm Helena, and this is Grace. That's our special. And we will see you guys next month. Thank you so much for listening.
Woohoo!
Bye.